Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, why um, smart children sometimes underperform? Why smart children sometimes underperform is the topic we are deliberating on today. And my own example, I was smart, but I did underperform several times. And my parents were confused. Somewhere I'm clearly intelligent, but struggling in school, unable to score, not putting effort sometimes, forgetting things, and losing that motivation still persists with me even today. And somewhere we begin to appear less than capable. When we put efforts, when we are in the right environment, when it is conducive, we perform as though, like nobody expected. But then there is a drop. And I see that a lot in children today. Even children themselves come up and say, I study, but I forget. I know it. Verbally they are saying everything. They kind of know it. But when you ask them to write the same thing they spoke, you see spell errors, grammatical errors, punctuation errors, all sorts of things. But they're speaking very beautifully, right? Somewhere they don't perform as well in tests. They understand concepts, but they avoid writing. This avoiding writing begins very early, from second grade onwards, I would say. Majority of them start speaking, prefer like tick marks, tick the answer kind of multiple choice questions, but they are unable to write the whole paragraph, even 2 lines, 3 lines properly. No, they are very creative, but they lack consistency. One day we wake up and do several things, but next 5 days out watching reels. These days it's watching reels, or there's just no consistency. When someone asked Einstein, he said, especially, this is interesting, with the 7 year life cycles. He said at 28, it is 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. That is how we begin to perform in life. And when we are talking about the 7 year cycles, the first 21 years, 3 7 year cycles, first 21 years, we are taking in from the world and we are using it, utilizing it, developing it, progressing. But 21 onwards till 28, we kind of sustain on whatever we have gathered from the world in reconciling it with my own inner forces. At around 28, everything has to begin coming from within me. I cannot as much depend on the outside, or whatever outside was supposed to give me, I have gotten it. There's nothing beyond. Now I have to begin putting effort. And if as parents we have not done that integration of willing, thinking, feeling properly, I speak well, but I perform poorly. I understand concepts, but I don't want to write. I am creative, but there is no consistency. All of these begin to show up. And that is when even the smart children don't perform as well. This is true not just for the generation today, it was also, like I said, even in my generation. I did very well in my 10th grade because I had a friend who would like constantly come push me, talk to me, make me do, we did things together. And I performed beyond imagination. And at my 11th grade, she went away. Her dad transferred and she went away. And she continued to perform well. She continues to perform well even today, but mine has been sporadic. When there is environment, I perform. When there is no environment, I don't. And my parents didn't bother, but now that I'm thinking about it, it was so dependent because I definitely did not have a rhythm in my life. When I went to school, all of us, we go to office, we go to school, wherever, because of that external conditions, we adhere to it. But come Sunday, come weekend, we are worse than normal. And my dad worked for railways, and we had no timings whatsoever for anything. So we adhered to the school college timings, but nothing else was rhythmic at all. So you could see those the cause, and in some areas we learn very easily, no difficulty at all, but in some we completely shut down, we ignore, we don't want to touch it. It could be something with willing, something with feeling, or even something with thinking. It could be any of these activities that we focus on something, or easily that comes easily to me, I kind of tend to do it. But somewhere where I've been shut down a little bit, or people have told something to me and it has become my belief that I don't know, then I ignore that. So somewhere there is no emotional regulation. There is some kind of a mismatch between my sensory experience, something with my environment. Of course, I cannot create a perfect environment for my children. We are not looking at perfection at all. We are looking for presence. We are looking for that progress. For me as parent, if I am present in this situation and I am progressing for myself, and I become that adult worthy of imitation, that loving authority for my children, that's good enough. We don't look at perfect environment. There cannot be one. But as long as we are cumulatively becoming better, that's all it matters. So if that intelligence, was not used properly, then I see an adult coming to me, reading a book and talking to me about something. I get motivated and I continue doing it. Simple example. Yesterday, a mother reached out to me. They have a little tense environment in the house. Her son is giving her he passed his 12th, or he gave his 12th exams. So he's giving some entrance exams to colleges, and she's not been able to pay attention to the son. So she said, "Can you talk to him for some time?" So we started talking, nothing about preparation, nothing about academics, about just how things work, how we can retain, what can we do to retain the concept that we have learned. General talks about what he likes, and how his friends are planning for vacation, something like that. And that itself was a relief for the child to break away from the study grind which has been going on in his life for last 2 years. Beginning 11th grade, it was just that. And that broke that pattern for a little bit. That's all it is. To intervene a little bit here and there, to kind of give a different direction to look for. Because this modern education, everything we are measuring is by memory, is how speedy can you calculate. He was telling me these entrance exams have 180 marks paper, 3 subjects, physics, chemistry and math, 60 marks each, 1 mark each, 1 minute each. So he said physics, chemistry he can manage, but math he is not sure of, because he has to calculate it. There has to be a lot of practice to do a good guesswork. Speed, how well you speak, language output, and academic performance. That's how we are measuring the education system. But that's not all. A child may have very high verbal intelligence, very strong imagination, very advanced reasoning, but still they struggle when their attention is overloaded. They have to pay attention to too many things around. There is an emotional stress. And I think for me, it was my dad's erratic schedule stressed me out, because we never knew when he would come home, when he would leave. Or there is too much of intellectualization, stimulation much early on. And my sensory systems are not mature yet, and I'm loading it up on them. I mean, just because the child looks bigger and heavier than me, I assume they've become adults. And parents start expecting things. Don't you understand? I mean, children find, I mean, even with adults, I start expecting somebody to provide for me, and that becomes my pattern. I don't care for myself, but I expect you to care for me. Won't happen. So, learning or performance happens when there is emotional safety, when the child feels safe enough. And like in my case, the environment was safe enough. My mother felt comfortable. I mean, she was there to take care of me. There were neighbors around us who did a good job of taking care of us. But I internalized not feeling safe in that house, in that room, in that environment. Because the protective figure, my dad was not around. So it's not enough for me to say that I'm providing you a safe environment, but the child must feel it, right? And there is repetition. We repeat the environment, the expectations or the learning or the way we learn, good experiences. And we could go on a walk regularly with my child and kind of reinforce some of the concepts, not the study concepts, but belief in myself. What is causing you the fear, or what is not helping you focus in your classroom? What is it you learned today, or what is it I learned at my office today? So that repetition of predictable behavior. For young children, we repeat the concepts also. Building of the tower, we have to repeat. Baby will want to turn over several times before it can hold its head up and stay in that position for longer. That's repetition. Movement is certainly required. Body, different people learn different ways. But I think it was Goethe. When he had to think through something, he would just get up from his desk and start pacing up and down hours together until that idea came to him. Somewhere that movement helped reorganize the energies within. And that happens with adults as well. So encourage movement. Now children are singing and studying, and I wonder how they can do. You cannot do multitasking now. Shut off that music, and they shut off learning also. Some children may be learning out loud. That used to irritate me so much at one point of time. But then when I read out loud, I hear myself. And that'll give me some kind of a reassurance that I don't have to look from somebody outside. Having a rhythm, just being smart is not enough. That is inherent, not enough. I need to perspire. I mean, there are lots of proverbs about it, practice makes man perfect, or you got to work hard to reap the benefits, and whatever. But it doesn't have to be that hard when I have a rhythm, when there are certain things that is just put out, no excuses. Of course, we will not, adhere to it sometimes. We have festivals, we have visitors, we have exams, we have breaks. So, but then I have a rhythm for those lax days as well. Sleep is also very important. This boy I was talking to yesterday, he said, I have exams on Saturday, Friday, I'm not going to study. I have decided, that's become principle of my life. The day before exams, I'm not going to touch books. It's wonderful. Last minute cramming is going to confuse everybody, and he has figured his rhythm. And finally, we got to have that meaningful engagement with another adult, with a textbook, with a concept, whatever we are learning. Only then I'll get engaged into learning, and that's what will help me perform. Like prodigies, they could be born dancers, born singers, but if they don't do their practice on daily basis, they are not going to go anywhere. They have inherent talent. So I could be very smart, but I don't have to be performing in my life. And I believe most of us are smart. And if I provide this environment of feeling safe, environment where I can repeat, where I can be open, where I can approach an adult, where I feel I'm not judged or labeled, then chances are I'll continuously put my effort, and it'll show up in my performance. I would like to hear from you.